What is going on, everyone? Anthony Drew Gary here. It is Wednesday, and that means it's time for another video. This time we're going to do things a little differently. For the very first time on my YouTube channel, I am going to have a guest star. We are going to talk about all of the different ways in which an architect might be able to help you, whether you are a homeowner, a property investor, a speculator, somebody who wants to learn about these things, or all of the above. So without further ado, I have the privilege of introducing my friend, Mr. Paul Reynolds. And if you watch in just a second, he's going to appear right there. All right, so I've got Paul with me here. We'll just do a brief introduction. Who are you? How did we meet? Did I pick you up off of the street corner with you having a sign that said, we'll work for food? How'd this go down?
Well, no, you didn't pick me up off the street. No, we met in college. I was a graduate assistant for one of your undergrad courses, and I think one of the maybe the first interactions we had was in the down in the shop.
Yep.
In the shop room, I was building a project. You were building a project, and I don't know. I think it started there.
And it was friendship ever since. And I've got proof now that I met somebody in college, and they still talk to me afterward. This is really wild. So Paul, what are you doing now? Are you working in architecture? Are you working on skyscrapers? Are you working on hospitals? Are you working on my house? What are you doing these days?
I'm working on residential architecture, high detail level. Not any hospitals, no office buildings. We solely do residential.
Okay.
And so my day to day is basically as an architect and also a construction manager. So when it makes sense, which in our opinion would be all the time, is we're building the projects that we're designing, so we can work directly with the client from the front end to the back end.
Okay, so you're doing a little bit of everything. Now I gotta ask you, because maybe this is just a thought that I've got in my head. When you think of architects designing houses, you usually think of the really high end, the ultra expensive, really big houses in only the best neighborhoods. Is that what's really going on here?
No, not actually. More often than not, we're doing renovation projects, whether it's a kitchen remodel or it could be as small as a bathroom remodel. I've done a small addition for a cigar room, so it doesn't necessarily have to be high end. McMansions or other large homes.
I'm with you, and I love what I'm hearing. So Paul, when in the process, when somebody thinks they want to work on a project, when would they get an architect involved?
That's a great question. I would say that anytime you're not whether you're not certain about what you want to do, but you have an idea, say whether it's a kitchen renovation or you want to do an addition to your house, really any project from small scale to large scale, you could bring in an architect and get them involved in the process, because whether or not you've thought of everything, I think that working with a third party, we'll call it, is a great way to get all of the ideas out there. Even the bad ones. We typically, during our process, try to throw everything out there.
Okay, so getting them started in the beginning will really start the process and get things moving on a good foot. Okay, I'm with you there. And so what's this look like in a typical example? Walk me through this. Somebody approaches you. Talk to me a bit.
Yeah. So typically we get a lot of phone calls. Not too many cold call emails. Get a phone call. Somebody said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing X, or I'd like to build a garage, and I don't know where to begin." I did a quick Google search and I found you guys, and here's what I want. So typically it's really just a phone call of us having a conversation, and we're listening more than talking. So the first phone call might be an hour or half hour, and then from there, then we decide, hey, do we want to get together, do a meeting and talk through things further, or maybe we can converse through the phone again, and then at some point we will get together and then start to really put like a pen to paper.
I'm with you. I think it's really important what you talked about there when you talk about listening first, making sure that somebody who might be interested in one of these projects is getting their voice heard and what they're looking for on the front end. I think that's really good. All right, Paul, so after you've listened to what the client's looking for and you've got some ideas flowing in your head and really want to start digging deeper into what this might be, what's your next step then?
So a site visit would be a great next step. And actually, I have a project that we can look at some pictures of. And we can talk through some of these points.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's switch over to that.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. So walk me through this. We went from site visit to this house being completely ripped apart. What happened here? Did Dorothy's tornado storm through?
That's a great question. So actually, the client had lived in this neighborhood for going on 30 years, and it was important to stay there. And you could start anew by leveling the entire site, or you could maybe relocate to another area. But in this case, we wanted to, one, keep the clients in the neighborhood, two, keep the integrity of the neighborhood, because it's a beautiful, walkable neighborhood. So the house, we wanted to reimagine how the house was laid out.
Okay, so what drove the necessity here? Is this a situation where the floor plan just didn't work anymore? Did you move things around? What drove the concept of taking the whole roof off of this thing?
Actually, yeah, the floor plan was in its former state was not it didn't fit their current lifestyle. It may have formerly fit their lifestyle, but over the course of 30 years, things change. But as they look forward into the future, and as they're aging in place, they wanted the space to better suit their needs.
All right, shifting gears a little further in the process now. We've got walls, we've got ceilings, we've got what looks to be the start of a kitchen here.
Yes, exactly. So as we were talking about, the former function or the former layout of the house didn't really fit their current lifestyle. They are entertainers, and the old style kitchens where they're small and closed off, and you got a couple doors and in 2 or 3 sides, that just did not fit. So the new format is such that it's laid out better for entertaining guests, and it certainly fits their lifestyles better.
Paul, this looks to be on the other side of the kitchen. We've got the countertops in. It looks like we've got a range hood. We've got the focal point of that island. It looks to be the range. Tell me what happened there and how you made that happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we actually, I think what really helps draw you into that space is the skylight that's above the sink there off to the right, and it really fills the kitchen with with a light. So the punch of the dark island is certainly a statement, but bringing in the light and just filling the space with light is really what I think helps bring that space to life.
All right, one more thing on this house, Paul. I could not stop and have a conversation with you about it without talking about this staircase. What went on here? How did you pull this off? How did the idea to string steel wire happen? This is awesome, man.
Well, thank you. The inspiration came from the homeowner. The homeowner, they both play stringed instruments, but they said, hey, the stair that goes up to the attic, because it didn't used to have a second floor, it was an attic. They said it was closed off. It wasn't really anything particularly great to look at. So in doing so, we want to open it up, maybe create a feature. And during that meeting, I recall sketching the stair, and I said, well, what if we literally made the stair like a harp, and so you could, didn't have an edge on the side. It's just it becomes a feature, and it ties directly back to those instruments.
That is awesome, Paul. And I don't want to gloss over the fact that you said that the upstairs used to be an attic and that is now a second floor.
Yeah, that's correct, yes.
That's the type of thing that you can get when you work with somebody like Paul. You can add space that wasn't there before and make it usable. All right, we're done with the pictures of the bungalow. That was a really cool project, Paul. Unfortunately, you guys have to look at us now. Maybe we'll get back to pictures in a little bit. So talk to me, Paul. This looks like one of those situations where a homeowner really got what they wanted at the end of this project. It hammers it down. This is tailor specific to what they were looking for, and that is awesome. But talk to me along the lines of somebody who might be investing in real estate and somebody who would want to create a project that works the best for maybe a wider audience than just themselves. Is getting you involved in that sort of a process still beneficial in the same sort of ways?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of what we carry, a lot of the principles and ideas that we have in the process with the, directly with the homeowner still, directly relate to the process for an investment property.
I love it. You can get something that'll work for everybody. Exactly. And yes, indeed, that was my dog Lola. We'll feature her on the next week's segment. All right. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the home improvement elephant in the room, and that is HGTV. Any given hour, you can watch a show on flipping a house, improving a house, tearing a house down, building one back up. And these shows are getting these projects done in 30 or 60-minute intervals. What's going on there? There's no way they're telling the whole story. There's something missing. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They you have to keep in mind that they have a limited ability to tell the story there, and it's tough to say make a season out of redoing a home. Although I think maybe it could be done, but. Talking about budgets is maybe not the sexiest thing in the world. Everybody will run into a problem. It's inevitable. You don't know what's behind those finishes, but there are a lot of people behind the scenes that really make those projects work.
All right, so talk to me a little bit more about that. And with budgets, a lot of the people that may be watching have some ties to the financial independence community, or at least the personal finance community. Is bringing somebody like yourself into these projects, are they going to be able to realize either some sort of savings, or maybe better spoken, some sort of value in terms of making sure that their budgets are stuck to, agreed upon? What's that look like, and what do you guys do to try to make sure that happens?
Well, part of being an architect is that we have to do continuing education. So there is to maintain a license, we have to continue to get credits, and those aren't just I go out and I find something, I call it a credit. Those are actually sanctioned credits. So we're having to stay on top of a lot of the new materials. What's durable? What's not really lasting as long as it's maybe claimed to last. So pricing and I guess material durability. Those are things that we definitely are familiar with.
Okay. So that's good. That's keeping the customer and the client first in mind and making sure they get something that they're happy about.
Yeah. And that it will last beyond, the first year or two, for example. Yeah, they're going to hopefully be happy in 10, 20 years down the road.
Very important. So when you're working on a project like this, is there something that you really enjoy doing? What gets you fired up to produce a good product for your clients?
Yeah, the stair is a great, is one of my favorite elements inside of a home, because I think that it's it can be such a statement piece. It's functionally, it gets you from, elevation, the main level up to the second floor, down to the basement, wherever, but I think there's a lot more there to the stair. I've got I guess we saw on the harp stair, there are you can certainly add some details, or in the harp staircase, you can strip away a lot of the details, and it's left, open completely. And in another project I've got, we're working on a white oak stair, where we're really focusing on all of those details, how everything comes together. When you do, for this is a modern stair.
Do you have a picture of this?
I do. Here, check it out. So, check this stair out. This project in particular, we have a basement renovation. It was an unfinished basement, and the client wanted to tie, first of all, tie the living space into this basement, but the stair that went formerly from the basement up to the second floor was not the same stair that you see here. The stair above we're also redoing, and we wanted it to be more of a cohesive element, not just, hey, we added on to the stair that we already had.
So this has been really cool, Paul, to dive into what you can get out of bringing an architect onto your project, getting the benefits of your knowledge base, your understanding, your listening skills, your material knowledge, your budget consciousness, all of these things put together to help make projects maybe a little better than they would have been otherwise. And that's really cool, and I admire what you're doing there. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, on the internet, our office website is Haus, that's HAUS, ARCH, so housearchitecture.com.
Very cool. We will link to that in the description for this video, and if you are watching this in live time, that means you will be able to see his face and my face. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but we're going to roll with this because this is a long video, and if anybody is still watching to this point, I commend you. Until next week, take care.